Welcome to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, press the bell icon. Hi, this is Sals, IT specialist and member at Web Development. Today, we're diving headfirst into the world of cybersecurity, but we're not talking about your everyday antivirus software. We're going to break down 10 of the most dangerous hacking gadgets out there. And don't worry, we'll give you the lowdown on how they work and what you can do to protect yourself. So buckle up, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get right into it. Okay, so before we jump into the nitty-gritty details of specific gadgets, let's talk about the bigger picture here. We're living in a world increasingly reliant on technology, which is awesome, but also makes us incredibly vulnerable. Think about it, your phone, your laptop, your car, even your fridge. It's all connected. And that means it's all a potential target for hackers. These guys are getting more and more creative with their tools and techniques, and unfortunately, most people don't even realize the danger they're in until it's too late. We'll be looking at how these hacking gadgets work, what kind of damage they can do, and most importantly, what you can do to protect yourself. Stay tuned, because things are about to get real. All right, let's kick things off with something most of us can relate to: Wi-Fi. We love it, we need it, but it can also be our biggest downfall when it comes to security. You see, public Wi-Fi networks are like a hacker's playground. They're often unsecured, which means anyone with the right tools can snoop on your activity, steal your passwords, even access your bank accounts. We're talking about things like Wi-Fi Pineapple, a device that tricks your devices into connecting to it, thinking it's a legitimate network, or software like Aircrack, which can crack Wi-Fi passwords with alarming speed. But here's the thing, it's not just public Wi-Fi you need to be worried about. Even your home network can be vulnerable if you're not careful. Make sure your home network is password protected and use a strong, unique password. And for the love of all that is holy, keep your router's firmware updated. Let's talk passwords, everyone's favorite security measure. But let's be real, how many of us are guilty of using the same password for multiple accounts? Or worse, using ridiculously easy passwords like password 123. Yeah, I thought so. Well, I hate to break it to you, but in the eyes of a hacker, those passwords are about as effective as a screen door on a submarine, because they have tools specifically designed to crack passwords. And I'm not talking about some amateur software you find on the dark web. I'm talking about sophisticated programs like Hashcat and John the Ripper. These beasts can use brute force attacks, trying millions of password combinations per second until they find the right one. They can also use dictionaries and rainbow tables, which contain pre-computed hashes of commonly used passwords. So what can you do? First, for in-depth details of Flapper check website Cyberhouse it, link in description. Second, use strong, unique passwords for every single account. Consider using a password manager to help you generate and store all those complex passwords. And enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. Remember, a strong password is your first line of defense in the digital world. All right, let's talk RFID, or radio frequency identification. It's the technology that powers things like contactless payment cards, keyless entry systems, even some passports. It's super convenient, right? Well, it's also incredibly vulnerable to a little something called RFID skimming. Hackers use a device called an RFID reader, which can be as small as a credit card, to wirelessly steal your information from your RFID-enabled cards and devices. They just need to be within a few feet of you, and boom, they've got your credit card number, expiration date, even your name. So what can you do? Well, the good news is that there are ways to protect yourself. You can get yourself an RFID blocking wallet or card sleeve. These are designed to block the radio waves that RFID readers use, making your cards invisible to skimmers. Another option is to simply be mindful of where you keep your RFID-enabled cards. Remember, RFID skimming is a real threat, but it's one that you can easily mitigate with a little bit of awareness and the right tools. Okay, you know how they say good things come in small packages? Well, the same can be said for hacking gadgets. And when I say small, I mean practically invisible. We're talking about devices like USB rubber ducky, a tiny USB drive that looks completely innocent but packs a powerful punch. Plug it into a computer, and it can inject keystrokes, install malware, even steal your passwords, all in a matter of seconds. And then there are things like keyloggers, tiny devices that can be hidden inside keyboards or plugged in between your keyboard and computer. They record every keystroke you make, giving hackers access to everything from your passwords to your credit card details. These devices are particularly dangerous because they're so easy to plant and even harder to detect. So what can you do? Well, for starters, be wary of any unknown USB drives you come across. Don't plug anything into your computer unless you're absolutely sure what it is. Regularly inspect your keyboard for any suspicious devices, especially if you're using a public computer. Remember, even the smallest devices can pose a significant threat to your security. let's talk about something that can literally stop you in your tracks: signal jammers. These devices do exactly what their name suggests. They jam signals, specifically cellular and Wi-Fi signals. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone want to block my connection? Well, for starters, criminals use them to disable security systems, making it easier for them to break into homes and businesses. They can also be used to disrupt communications during protests or other public gatherings. But here's the thing: signal jammers are illegal in most countries because they can interfere with critical communications like emergency services. So, what can you do if you think you're being targeted with a signal jammer? Well, the first sign is usually a sudden loss of cellular or Wi-Fi signal. If you suspect a jammer is in use, try moving to a different location to see if your signal returns. Remember, signal jammers are a serious threat, and it's important to be aware of the risks they pose. Okay, let's talk Bluetooth, the technology that lets us connect our phones, headphones, speakers, and a whole host of other devices wirelessly. It's super convenient, but it's also got its fair share of security vulnerabilities. You see, Bluetooth relies on short-range radio waves to transmit data, and those waves can be intercepted by hackers using devices called Bluetooth sniffers. These sniffers can be used to eavesdrop on your conversations, steal your data, even take control of your devices if they're not properly secured. So, how can you protect yourself? Well, for starters, always make sure your Bluetooth devices are set to undiscoverable when you're not using them. Also, be cautious about pairing with unknown Bluetooth devices. If you don't recognize the device, don't pair with it. Remember, Bluetooth is a great technology, but it's important to be aware of the risks and take steps to protect yourself. All right, let's talk about the Internet of Things, or IoT for short. It's the fancy term for all those smart devices we've invited into our homes, from smart speakers and thermostats to security cameras and even refrigerators. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good smart home gadget as much as the next tech enthusiast. But the convenience comes at a cost, and that cost is security. Many IoT devices are notoriously insecure, with weak passwords, outdated software, and a whole host of other vulnerabilities that hackers can exploit. So, how can you protect yourself? Well, for starters, change the default passwords on all your IoT devices and use strong, unique passwords for each one. Keep your device's firmware and software up to date. Remember, your smart home should be convenient, but not at the expense of your security and privacy. Okay, let's talk about something that hits a little too close to home for many people: spyware apps. These are malicious apps designed to secretly monitor your phone activity, and they can be scarier than a clown at a birthday party. We're talking about apps that can track your location, read your text messages, listen to your phone calls, even access your camera and microphone without you ever knowing. They can be disguised as harmless games, productivity tools, or even antivirus software, making them tricky to spot. So how can you protect yourself? Well, for starters, be wary of apps from unknown developers. Stick to downloading apps from official app stores like Google Play or the App Store. Pay attention to the permissions and app requests. Remember, spyware is a real threat, and it's important to be vigilant about protecting your phone and your privacy. Okay, gearheads, this one's for you. Let's talk about car hacking. Because yes, even our cars are vulnerable to the dark arts of the digital world. Modern vehicles are packed with technology, from keyless entry systems and GPS navigation to advanced driver assistance systems. And while all that tech is awesome for convenience and safety, it also creates new opportunities for hackers. We're talking about tools that can unlock your doors, start your engine, even disable your brakes, all remotely. So, how can you protect your ride? Well, for starters, be aware of your surroundings. If you see someone lurking around your car with suspicious-looking electronics, it's best to be cautious. Keep your car's software updated. Car manufacturers are constantly releasing security patches to address vulnerabilities. Remember, car hacking is a real threat, but it's one that you can mitigate with a little bit of awareness and the right precautions. Let's talk about something that can bring even the mightiest websites and online services to their knees: DDoS attacks, or distributed denial of service attacks. Now, these attacks don't involve stealing your data or hacking into your accounts. Instead, they're like the digital equivalent of a traffic jam, flooding a target network with so much traffic that it becomes overwhelmed and crashes, making it inaccessible to legitimate users. So how can you protect yourself from DDoS attacks? Well, the bad news is that there's not a whole lot you can do as an individual user to prevent a DDoS attack. However, you can protect your own devices from becoming part of a botnet by using strong passwords, keeping your software updated, and being cautious about suspicious emails or links. Remember, DDoS attacks are a serious threat to the stability of the internet, and it's important to be aware of the risks and take steps to protect your devices and networks. So there you have it, folks. 10 dangerous hacking gadgets and techniques that should have you thinking twice about your digital security. The good news is that by being aware of these threats, you're already one step ahead of the game. So stay vigilant, stay informed, and keep those firewalls high. Stay safe, stay informed.